Episode 5 kicks off. New road, new tools. First thing I do is I equip the fairy treasure, Brunhild. Yeah, that Brunhild. The one with an absolutely unhinged magic boost. Armor side of things, I really wasn't sure what to throw in, so I just go with the soft tars. Probably not the best pick, but I'll make sure to adapt on my way if the Moonflow decides to get funny. We definitely got tools, it's just how am I gonna use them? First encounter, immediate ambush. Wolf jumps in for 150. Bunny follows up with a 330 shoulder check, and the Ice Flying finishes the combo by freezing us solid. Alright game, I hear you. Message received, and it's time for the first adaptations. I swap in sonar, no more ambush nonsense. And the next fight drops us straight into Ochu. Before anything, I switch to lights out, and yep, sleep lands immediately. Beautiful. Check the steel table, remedy, cool. Not exciting, but noted. Now it's time to test the Brunhild. The fire spell goes out, 507 damage. Yep, that's a real upgrade. Ochu wakes up, attacks us for 300 and poison. Asuna, tentacles again, poison. Asuna, tentacle again, poison. And this is where the fight goes completely off the rails. Ochu is fast enough to trade turns with UG. And suddenly, I'm stuck in a full-blown cure loop. At first, I'm stubborn. I want it to be quote-unquote fair without using the obvious answer sitting in my backpack. But yeah, that didn't last. I pull up the break knuckles, swing at it, petrify lands.
Should've stayed home.
Ochu explodes into gravel. Ochu drops an alert shield. I forgot to check what it had. Back on the road, the classic Moonflow trio shows up again. This time I come prepared. Critical hit deletes the Beneath. The wolf misses, blizzard lands, but I one-shot the Garm. Swap back to Brunhild and try to melt the flan. Fire hits for 507, not quite enough, but second cast finishes the job. You see this trio a lot on Moonflow, so the next encounter is basically deja vu, but this time I get some steals in for those Antarctic winds ×2, which are always worth it. I was starting to get a little confident, so I popped my white amps and pressed on. Next up Ochu, and yeah, this time I knew exactly what this one wanted. Break knuckles straight into the jaw. Crusaders in the Kilika Forest be like, man, we really could have used that tool against the Lord of the Wood. The usual Moonflow trio rolls up next, but with a slight remix. Our first bite bug makes an appearance. The game hands me 2 turns and I don't waste them. Wolf and the bug gets clapped, Bunny bumps into us for some damage, so I swap in Sleep Strike and crit it straight into a nap. And for what? The steal is a high potion. In Final Fantasy X Remake, I want them to up these steals a bit. I throw piercing on, enough, and clean it up. Another Ochu right after, and this time I played smarter. I keep the lights out equipped and just lean on fire spells. Sleep land, it wakes up, I reapply the sleep. No swapping, no overthinking. Last time, I think I messed up by chasing damage with Brunhild. Keeping it simple works way better here. Ochu goes down again, no cheese required. Last encounter before the Shoopuf? That's some kind of boat? It ends without much drama. Then we run into my favorite businessman.
Waka, at your service.
Got any weapons for us? Check his inventory and yeah, there's some weird double elemental strike nonsense going on here. But I do pick 2 really important pieces. First, the Mythal Ring, solid magic defense and physical defense. Second, the Serum Bracer, poison ward with an SOS null shock. Any SOS elemental null in Final Fantasy X is massive. And this one's especially clutch. Poison ward alone already pays for itself, and not later, right now. For the third item I bought was the Emerald Bangle for some magic defense. You can never have that too much. I equipped the Serum Bracer and backtrack a little bit into a battle against 2 bite bugs and Ochu. Take 1 bug out, they get their turn. Poison doesn't stick thanks to the ward. I put Ochu to sleep, then start testing steals on the bug, and this is where the bite bugs earn respect. Rare seal on them is a Poison Fang. Easily top tier throwables, high damage and poison on top. Absolutely worth farming. I only land the common steel though. Antidote. But yeah, I'm keeping a close eye on these things before it's too late to come back and regret it. Lastly, I decided to take on this encounter as well. 2 Gandaruva and a Fungar. I drop one of the flyers immediately. No misses. Ruckus accuracy, still managing to easily land hits on them. I steal from the second Gandaruva and snack an Electro Marble. They fire back with spells. Thunder from the Gandaruva, fire from the Fungar. Solid damage, but nothing we can't handle. I finish off the remaining Gandaruva, leaving the Fungar alone and very unhappy. Before this, I made a quick but important gear swap. Out went the Poison Ward with an SOS null shot, and in came an early game gem. SOS Null plays armor. Fire pressure, handled. Shout out to those Crusaders in Kilika.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
I packed it up and moved on. Pick up the Jill boost behind Lulu, save the game, and then hop onto this so-called some kind of boat. Now here's where things change. This is going to be one of those few times I'm forced to slot someone in instead of UG. The game is extremely strict here. Who's allowed to fight the next boss? Extractor. UG is getting pinched, no way around it. But for the first time in this run, we're staring at a real challenge. Not a gimmick fight like a sin on the boat, not the fish ambush after Blitzball. This one actually demands respect. I want to properly showcase this boss, using UG's current stats and gear as a reference point for where we should be. But on the front line, Waka.
Hey.
Huh?
Take a look.
Extractor time, 4000 HP, Titus, 0 HP. The fight starts and I open up with Power Break, solid 280, a number we're very comfortable seeing by now. Extractor answers with Aqua Shooter twice before it starts rising. And that's the problem. Aqua Shooter itself, to tell you the truth, not a big deal. I got slow touch on Waka and plus 20% HP boost arm guard, so we're built to take some hits here. Slow touch lands, and you can feel it too. Extractor's idle animation goes from menacing war machine to Windows 98 loading screen. Now when Extractor rises, the rule is simple. Deal 500 plus damage before its next turn, or eat a depth charge. A depth charge is no joke. Huge damage and it slaps darkness on top, just to be disrespectful. Luckily, I only need 2 turns to damage the threshold to bring it back down. Crisis avoided. Without slow touch, I think I'd have exactly 1 turn to hit that 500 plus damage. And yeah, I could do it with throwables, but I'd rather throw the sport ball around and save my item. Here I just start slamming in some passes. Blitzball fundamentals that Waka definitely handles. From here on, it's clean. A little Lancet flexing, some Thunder cast which Waka and Extractor is struggling. And one last Thunder and it finally sinks. But we're not done with this boss. Why? Because Extractor can drop SOS Null elements. So, we dive back in. And again. And again. And again. Nope. Wrong element. Finally, SOS Null Frost. Before the fight, I checked which SOS Null I was missing, and the ice protection was the gap. That's one of those things you need handled before moving forward, and now it is.
Kimari never bail again.
Back on the Triland, I see Owaka again. Hold on, how did he get here so fast? Glasgow literally said it would take days to find another crossing on foot. Owaka? Nah bro, pyroflies. He's only selling items here, so we loot nearby chests and roll straight into Rico's tutorial battle. Time to yell,
Yahoo!
mix items, and pretend we didn't already know all of this. Moving towards Quarter Salam,
I'll do my best.
the encounters here are pretty much the same. Wolf, Ochu, the usual suspects. Nothing scary, but this road has something special. Encounter lootable chests. And there's really only one thing I care about. Stamina tablets. They're a 1 in 8 chance, which hurts. But the effect is insane. Doubles the HP for one character in battle. For this run, that's basically the only way to push UG's HP past 2000. So yeah, I tried. I did land my first Poison Fangs from the bite box here. I already mentioned this, but they are super strong. I stacked some Poison Ward as well. Eventually we roll into Quarter Salam. And like a true pilgrim, I immediately loot everyone's house. Then the shop.
I tell you, these Guado merchants are shrewd. Ripping off the pilgrims that come to visit the Fireplane. Listen, you watch that they don't get you too.
And Owaka is selling another massive tool here. Let's take a look. Some weird double elemental strikes again, poison and dark infliction, and then Fatal Kate Sith. Death Touch. An absolute menace against anything immune to petrification. Carrying this with the Stone Touch weapon, and the endgame statuses start appearing early. The rest of the gear are okay at best. However, the game is clearly screaming at us about Lightning Ward though. Subtle foreshadowing. Before the Fireplane, I grabbed the hidden chest, 8 lightning marbles, then entered the Fireplane.
I gave him your sword. He likes it.
I gave him your sword. And with that, we step forward into the next leg of the journey. Thunder Plains. Yeah, this is where the episode ends. And only now do I realize I didn't get the stamina tablets from those chests.
Oh no, we're here.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect.